Hello, good afternoon. It's so wonderful to be with you. I'm Katie, founder of the School of Self-Love, and welcome to today's Cuppa with Katie. And today I'm joined by two very special women, Helen and Rebecca. And we're here together to just have a little informal chat about the upcoming 5-day Meet Your Soulmate Challenge. I'm very excited about it. I can feel my energy really rising for it. It's a huge week for me next week. We get started on Monday, and I'll be hosting about 200 women. So amazing. 200 women who are ready to call in love. I don't know if you can even begin to imagine the energy of that. It's pretty awesome. Helen and Rebecca know all about it. It seemed this challenge, this will be the third time running it. And women from all over the globe are joining. And in fact, totally coincidentally, I had a DM from somebody in Australia this morning saying that I will share it on social media soon. I'm just getting her permission and to keep it anonymous, but saying, thank you so much because of the magic that we did together on the challenge. I've called in my guy. I've just had my birthday. I've just met his family. He's met mine. And she's like, I can't believe the magic of it. And that was just from doing the 5-day free challenge. That was it. She hasn't worked with me privately. We haven't done anything else together. So I'm like, yes, this stuff works. So Helen and Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on and just being so courageous to share yourselves a little bit with me. And I guess the first thing I'm interested to know is from each of you is why you chose to do the challenge. I mean, it seems kind of obvious, but people come to it for different reasons. So why did you choose to do the challenge?
Shall I go first?
Who wants to go? Yeah, sure.
Oh, that is a good question. Why did I choose to do the challenge? Well, I suppose, and last year I discovered Katie's Cuppa with Katie sessions during sort of lockdown, and I discovered you.
Yeah.
But then I knew of you previous to that because as I said, I would go and get your book. The beautiful Fair book, which I cannot recommend enough.
Which, by the way, Helen, I got a notification from Facebook today. I shared that the Kindle version of that came out 6 years ago today. So that's around the same time as the hardcover copy came out. So anyway, carry on. Sorry.
And funnily enough, I went on and checked when I actually bought it, and it was February 2017 that I got your book. So it's back in 2017 that I was recommended your book, and I did it, and wow, it made a huge difference just doing that book. And I'd probably say that was around the time of the start of my, I don't want to use the word journey, but it is a journey.
There's no other word. There's no other word for it. I've tried to find words. There's not another one.
So I've had in my relationship past, I've had a few, that sounds really dodgy, but I've had a few good relationships, but all with their individual challenges. And looking back now, I can see that I was in any of them, I was never really truly authentically me. I was never truly authentically happy. And there were other things that have gone in my life where I didn't realise the challenges that I'd faced. So I'd gone through like a personal journey of some great counselling that I'd had, and then a few different things had happened. And then beginning of last year, with lockdown, suddenly having a little bit of time because I was on furlough from work, I discovered you on your Cuppa with Katie sessions, and whatever you talked about in those sessions just resonated so deeply with me. And then you announced the 5-day challenge, and I'd been single at that point because it was the first one you did was October last year, wasn't it? So
yeah,
I'd been single for nearly a year, and through the work that I'd done, I was kind of in such a better place. But actually doing your challenge, I never realised quite how much further I had to go on my journey. So I was kind of, last year was an unusual year anyway, but yeah, I was single and I was ready for, I suppose, learning to love myself. And I think one of the things that you'd said on there is about coming home to me, and that coming home to me has just been such a strong kind of message, and it's played out so strongly that I truly have come home to me over the past year on the back of the 5-day challenge, which I've now done twice. It will be my 3rd time next week, and I can't wait.
I love that you're doing it for the 3rd time, because you can go deep, because this is because the challenge is inner work. And so there's levels and layers to that. Yeah. I mean, I'm always doing the work, constantly doing the work. So yeah, it's good. Amazing. How about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, I mean, I like picking up on that, I think, and what you're saying there about the inner work and the being layers and layers. You know, one of the things that I've learned on my journey, to use that word that we have to use, is that, you know, I kind of used to be a very, you know, list, tick, done, you know, and so some of this stuff that I've discovered along the way is, no, I've done that now, it's done, tick. And the truth is, you know, that we can go deeper, we can go further in. So the challenge for me, I can't remember how I found you. I don't have a book here to show that I have your book, I'm afraid.
Did you see there's comments from people all saying, I've got the book on my bedside table, Ruth's in the garden right now reading it.
Yes, I'll be going on Amazon shortly and getting it, obviously.
Okay, obviously.
But I found you through however I found you, and again at the time, the challenge just landed at a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to start this work, right? You know, I'm ready to be open to this again. So my history around it is I came out of a marriage in 2016, which had not been very authentic for me for quite a long time. Okay. And, you know, I came out of there not loving myself very much, you know, and ended up in another relationship a year or so later, which, you know, was marvelous for a period of time, but again, wasn't very authentic, and came out not loving myself very much, and went on the dating scene, the traditional online dating scene, and came out of that not loving myself very much. And I made a decision then, which I stand by as being the best decision at the time, which was, okay, I'm repeating the patterns here. And I made a decision that for a while I wasn't going to date. I wasn't going to be there. I was going to focus on me, focus on my children, focus on my business, focus on what's important to me, and really learn to love myself. And, you know, that has been an ongoing journey, is still an ongoing journey. And then when the challenge came up, I was like, okay, I just want to explore with this. I just want to play with it, right? I just want to go and actually immerse myself in a week with however many women were there that time. But like you say, that energy that I know, I've felt that in other places, that is so amazing and holds you in a space that is just so nourishing. And that's exactly what I got, right? And I think I shared in the challenge that actually what the beautiful outcome for me that week, apart from connecting with some amazing women and being on, you know, doing all the lives with you and stuff, was actually the soulmate I called in was my 15-year-old or nearly 15-year-old son, who I
remember.
So
I remember you sharing this now. Yeah.
And I felt a little disconnected from him, you know, a little bit. And he is my soulmate. He's my firstborn. And, you know, we're very, very close, but it can be very hard. And actually that week, that process I went through, I saw him coming back, and we had that connection. And for me, I was like, yeah, isn't that my soulmate, right? He's right here with me. And
I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to cry, because what you're I mean, this is so beautiful, because I named the challenge Meet Your Soulmate. Words have so much power. They have such an energy. And while I might have thought, my little human mind in my business thinks I think I know what that means. But those words have an energy, and they're unique to everybody. And I just, oh my God, my heart is bursting that you've had that experience.
Yeah. I have to reiterate that as well. Just something that has just come to mind as you've said that, Katie. The whole Meet Your Soulmate, for me, yes, I haven't, we've had this conversation before, that I haven't actively done anything about meeting anybody yet. And yet, well, I say a lie. I went on a dating site on Sunday. But we'll keep that quiet. But I would say that challenge, I met myself.
Yeah.
And what Rebecca was saying about meeting her son, my relationships with my family is so much better. My relationships with my friends are so much better. My relationship with me is 100% better. It couldn't be any better on the back of the 5-day course. So it's not, as you say, it's not just about going out and meeting a new partner.
And what I want to share, and I love that, thank you for sharing that, and it's awesome. And what I want to just bring forward is, because when you said I'm not actively out there dating, I'm not actively doing anything. So, but this is the trick. This is the pattern that we fall into. This is why so many women are so freaking exhausted from dating and feeling like a failure, because they don't think they're getting it right. They're not actively out there on the dating apps. But that's like, if you think of an iceberg, the dating apps and the actual dating itself, however that happens, as this little bit at the top. And to, the inner work, the mindset work, the emotional mastery work, the spiritual connection, empowering your feminine, healing your masculine, all the pieces that we begin to dive into, and the challenge, that's the iceberg under the surface. That is active. Like it's very feminine work, because it's healing work, it's transformational work, but it's way more active and way more powerful than the little bit at the top. So it's like you're totally actively calling him in just because you're not on an app. And most of, the majority of the women that go on to work with me privately or in my groups, whatever, around this, a lot of them aren't ready to actually get onto apps. And they don't even meet their guys through apps. It's just, it becomes a miraculous experience how the guy comes in. And their focus is more on raising their vibration and doing their healing. And like you've just said, and that is active. I have to say that, because we can be, anyway.
And I think, Katie, speaking to that, it was exactly what I did. I felt that the active thing to do when I decided to go on dating apps, that was the active thing to do. The reality was that, as you exactly say, actually that wasn't what I needed. What I needed was to be actively, finding myself, doing the work on myself. And that was part of making that decision and saying, right, I'm not going to do that, because that's not the activity that I need right now. That's not, and it put me in a very vulnerable position, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of women who do this. It put me in a very vulnerable position, and it took a couple of horrendous, and I say horrendous not in anything traumatic, but just not nurturing situations through that activity that I recognized was actually putting me back. So it was, and that's when I realized, it wasn't that I was closing myself off to the possibility of finding my soulmate or finding a partner. It was just actually, this isn't the activity that I need to be doing.
Because that activity, as you said, can actually be detrimental. It can actually take you backwards. It's just because you're active doesn't mean you're moving forward. It depends if it's empowered activity or disempowered activity, right?
Yes, and it was
and if it's aligned. Because it's not aligned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And was the other interesting, of course, it was taking me back in other areas of my life that were actually really good. My business was really good. Everything else in my life was great. But that, by putting myself out there, thinking that was the action I needed to take, the knockback and the detrimental and the disempowering was then starting to have an impact on the rest of my life. And that's when I made the decision, right, that's not what I need to be doing.
Yes.
I need to be focusing elsewhere.
Okay, so absolutely. So you two are clearly high achieving women, right, with lots going on. How do you find the time to really commit and suck the marrow out of an experience like this challenge? How did you each do that? Do you want to share some tips? Because there'll be women watching this wondering, do I have the time, yada yada.
Absolutely.
What would you say?
For me, I was so excited about doing the course, and for me it was a priority. I was putting myself first. I was investing my time in me, so I prioritized that. Yes, I was working full time, and I've got a very high pressured, busy job, like most of us will have, that are going to be doing the course again. But I made sure that I woke up a little bit earlier each morning and watched your videos first thing in the morning and did some work there. I prioritised in my plan that I would have at least half an hour's lunch break, sometimes at work, working through, but I booked that time in. So I had that half an hour just to have that recap and do the work. And then in an evening, I booked that time out on an evening. I just blocked the whole week out. I made sure I didn't have anything else, because for me, that was my time and my investment in me, and it was so worthwhile. And other things that I might have moved out can be done another time. I mean, obviously that's not always practical for everybody with young children and so on, but I was fortunate enough that I was able to do that.
No, that's awesome. Good planning. Yes, an empowered woman plans and takes care of herself to make things happen. I love it. Rebecca?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. I think the same thing is, making it a priority. Making that work for me a priority. Again, coming back to what is the action that's best going to serve me. The first thing is that is a priority. And a bit like Helen, I run my own business. I have a very thriving coaching business. I have 3 young children. I'm doing that, on my own week to week. So on the face of it, not easy to fit that time in, and yet it was important enough. And I think that's why the challenges are so effective, because actually you can go, okay, for a week I can do that, right? For a week I can do it. And then of course by doing it, you're learning how nourishing that is, how energizing it is, how actually you seem to have more time because you are in, you're in flow, you're empowered, you're finding yourself and all the amazing things about yourself. And there's something that draws you in then, especially with the energy of a group, because you're like, I want more. I want to spend I don't want to spend time doing that, because that's not empowering and energizing. This is. So it becomes more immersive as you go through, was my experience. But the first thing is, it's a priority. That, and as soon as you make something a priority and you plan, then it happens. It's when you don't make it a priority that it slips off the radar.
And the live sessions on an evening that you run, it's not like you're sat watching something. You're really involved. You're really part of that group. And there's such, I know it's been touched on already, but there's such an energy and such a trusting, relaxed, positive energy between everybody in the group that it's intoxicating. You don't want to miss any of it, because it's inspiring, it's entertaining, it's everything.
Who needs Netflix?
Exactly. Can you remember, Katie, because I had my laptop plugged into my telly, so I was watching you on my big screen.
I know. You sent the picture, and we had the cat watching as well. It was really fun. I actually quite liked seeing me on a big screen. I was like, oh, hello. And I do time the evening lives for 8 p.m. So they start, which might sound late, but equally it's like by then, if you've got children, theoretically they're in bed. Theoretically, you probably had your family meal, or if you're on your own, you can at least sit and have your dinner while we're doing the live. But the day is over, and it's just you time. You're getting your jammies, pour a glass of wine.
Yeah, and I agree with Helen that that immersive feel, that intoxication that you got on those evening sessions, and of course that's it's lovely to do at the end of the day, because sometimes at the end of the day we can be filled up with all the crap that's happened in the day. So to then kind of have that at the end of the day, spend time with these amazing women who some of them are getting results already. The stories that people are sharing, and the shifts they're making. That was part of it, and then you go to sleep with all of that wonderful energy. That's something that we don't we can so miss in our everyday busyness. We go to bed with all this sort of what's going on, what do I need to fix, what do I need to change, what do I need to do tomorrow, whereas actually I was going to bed each night with these beautiful images and stories of women having amazing results, a lot of the time finding themselves, right? And that we all feel that when another woman in the group says, I had this distinction today, or this, you can see us all with our hands on our hearts, because we all feel it, and that for me is I may get emotional.
So good. I'm intrigued, Rebecca, actually. So you're a coach.
Yeah.
Now, you're a coach, so surely loads of the stuff that I teach and share in the week, I mean, it's not new information.
No, I know all this. Yeah, I know all this. So the beauty of it, right? The beauty of these challenges is in the transformation. It's in the showing up. It's in the doing the work. We know so much, right? Yeah, I talk to my clients about this, but you know, I'm a human being underneath that. So, you know, and I've recognized, you know, I've invested heavily in my own coaching and my own work and in all areas of my life. And, you know, I like to model that for my clients. Yeah, I'm not done. I'm not there's not a big tick next to my name going, I'm there. You know, but I keep showing up. I keep doing the work. And the challenge takes you through that. How do we actually take what we know? We might have heard it before, but how do we hear it differently? How do we see it differently? And how do we actually do it? How do we build it into our busy lives? How do we make it part of who we are, who we're being? So you know, I need to show up and do the work as much as any of my clients do.
Yeah, but I love that. Because that was me, you know, when I hired two coaches at the same time, a guy and a man and a woman, different coaches, different aspects, different types of coaching, because I was so committed to calling in my soulmate. And it was getting actually professionally humiliating to like be at that time. I was known as the self-love coach, and I couldn't call in love. It was like there was a disconnect. The work, a lot of it was new to me, particularly masculine, feminine energies. That was the big part of the healing work that I did back then. So that was new. And there was mindset pieces. There was going back into my childhood and inner child pieces. And it's not like I hadn't done that before. And I had many a time going, I've done this. I don't want to talk about mum and dad again. And yet I had to. Like you were saying, Helen, you're going to do the challenge for the third time. It's because there's levels and layers. And we definitely don't know it all. We're always learning, aren't we? Always. Yeah, Stella's saying life's a journey. Yeah, it is.
and you know that I was talking about this in a coaching school that I'm in, you know, yesterday about, you know, the healer's health. You know, if we're doing this work with other people, we have to look after ourselves. You know, we have to nourish ourselves. And actually, if I'm talking to other people about, I mean, one of my slogan is, you know, live the life you love. And a bit like you, it's kind of sometimes going, okay, is that true for me? Well, no, because I'm not there yet. But I'm doing the work and I'm still showing up, and I'm finding people like Katie to work with, and I'm finding people in other areas, an abundance coach and a coach that I'm working with on my mindset and my coaching practice. Because actually that's what I'm modeling for the people I work with. And it's true for me too. You know, I'm not up here and everyone else is here, right? We're in it as well. We're humans. We're there.
Yeah, totally. Love that. All right, final question, and then we'll wrap up. What do I want to know? What was your favorite part of the challenge? Or where was your biggest aha moment, perhaps? Either or.
Oh, I think for me, there's so many. It's hard to choose. The bit that stands out for me is was it day 4 when you write your vision?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and writing the vision, it was like suddenly it was like, oh, this feels so different. It's not just, oh, I'd love to have that, but I'd never have it. Or I want to have this in my life, but it's so far out of reach, it'll never be possible. It was writing something, but truly believing it, and I still do now. But that, on the back of that, it was, I think I've got something that I wrote down here before, because I quickly sort of looked through some of my notes, and apart from the coming home to me part, which was a massive bit, I wrote down in that I always used to spend my life living outside of my body. Whereas now everything that I do and think and live is from my heart and from my soul, rather than I'm actually being true to me, which is part of that writing that vision. It's coming from within here. Yeah. And I think on the first, it might have been that night, because I was lucky enough to come on one of your live coaching calls in the first week.
Oh, one of the hot seat sessions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sessions. And I've got to admit,
I'd forgotten about that, Helen. I'm remembering now. Yes, of course. Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, yes, I've done certain things in my life, but I've never had a coaching session before. So actually I was like, oh, brilliant. I've won something. Yeah, I'm going on. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to speak to Katie. I never actually thought, okay, what is coaching? So when you came on and like, what can I help you with? But you have such a talent to be able to ask the right questions, and you have such a talent to be able to identify what it is that the person you're speaking to needs to talk about. And I would say that was probably the biggest highlight of the first week, was being lucky enough to have one of those live coaching sessions with you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
If you get a chance, try and get one.
Yeah, they are pretty cool, actually, aren't they? Yeah. That's awesome, Helen. Thank you.
And I think for everyone else, of course, those hot seats are so good, because everyone else is hearing something in that hot seat coaching that you're doing with that person that lands with them, right? Even if the circumstances are different. So as an observer, those hot seat coaching sessions are so valuable to everyone. For me, what was the highlight for me? I mean, the big light bulb moment for me was when, I felt that connection with my son. That was such a heart boom, as I like to call them. That real right that it lands. But I think again, it was just. I think it was about that iceberg that you were talking about, actually, Katie. Is that and recognizing that. This is where you said, Helen, it's this inner work still, and that's okay. It's sort of that, well, I haven't got it yet, therefore I'm not there. It was actually just leaning back into, okay, this is where I need to be. This will come. This is where I need to be. And the reason it's not come yet is because I'm not in that place that's calling in what I need, because I don't know what it is yet. So how am I going to call in what I need? And it's okay to stay there. And I'm doing it again next week, by the way, because I want to stay there again. I want to go back there. I want to, hang out in that space again, because that's where the difference in how I call in what I want and believing it and seeing it, doing that visioning work. Because my vision up to now has been, it's not what I want. It's based on what I've had, which makes it seem impossible. Because it's like, well, that didn't work, so it must be impossible. And it's spending more time in that world of possibility and visioning of, this is what I want, and it's out there.
And you're not alone in it. There's all these other women. I think that is so helpful, because I remember being single. And I genuinely felt like I was the only one. I didn't have any single friends. They're all married with the kids, playing happy families, doing their thing. I literally was the only one. And it was a pretty lonely place to be at times. Fun as well. I had my fun, and lonely at times too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, you two are awesome. Thank you so much for coming and sharing like that. This is so good for me. Like, my heart is really full, because this has helped me to really tap into the energy and the power of the challenge and get me prepared for next week too. Because you're reminding me of what this is all about as well. Yeah. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys again next week. Yeah. Wonderful. And if you're sorry, Helen,
we'll be there.
Yes, you'll be there. Yeah. And actually this time I've got Sarah's here watching. Well, I know she commented earlier. I have an ambassador supporting me in this challenge, so I won't be doing it on my own. She's going to help me guide the group and make sure that everybody feels really seen and heard, so that I'm not totally burnt out by the end of the week. So it's really nice to have her support. And I can't wait. So if you're watching and you haven't already signed up, please come and join the 5-day, completely, utterly free Meet Your Soulmate challenge. We start on Monday, the 14th. You just have to get into the Facebook group. The doors of the Facebook group will be opened on Friday this week, so in a couple of days' time. And then the magic begins. So, I'll make sure the link goes underneath. And look, if you're on social media with me, we're like bombarding it at the moment with everything about the challenge, so you can't really miss the link. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your time
you.
with me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And thank you everyone for joining. Mwah. See you later. Bye, guys.